Hello and welcome back. In today's video we're going to be looking at the problems with Hearts of Iron 4 and its historical inaccuracies, because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's quite a lot of them. So here's a list of the nations that I'm going to be talking about. Now I assume everyone knows who these are, who plays Hearts of Iron 4, well, you must have some idea of geography and history of the time, especially when you're playing this game. Now if you don't know who these are, you might want to take the time to have a look, because this is the only reason you're living in a goddamn free world. I couldn't resist a little American gag there, so yeah, that's enough of that, let's go on with the video. Right, now the first issue I've got is the fact that all the major nations that even combated in World War II have such an issue with production for military weapons, except for Germany, obviously, because Germany has to be the big boy, because it has to, for game's sake, conquer France and invade Russia and invade the Balkans as well. So that's just for the game's sake, so I do understand that. But the disparity between all the nations is actually a joke. Like, the UK only has 14 factories, and it's supposed to have had the Birmingham Small Arms Company, which is supposed to be the biggest manufacturer of arms in Britain at the time, and to have only 14 military factories producing weapons at that time is beyond a joke, considering it had such an empire as well at the time. France can't do anything. I do understand that you need to have the war support in order to build more factories and begin rearmament, but still, however, why you can't build military factories fast enough is just ridiculous, and the fact it doesn't have any arms industry after having a war maybe 20 years earlier. So I don't get that. And then Russia has 42 military factories but has no equipment, so it's so far behind Germany in terms of manufacturing. It's just stupid. Like, the 42 factories mean nothing. It happens later on, but by the time you're able to get up to a standard, Germany's already produced so much weaponry you can just bombard you back into the Dark Ages. So yeah, that's my first gripe. Issue number 2 being naval combat. Now with the naval combat, it is extremely cheesy. It doesn't matter what quality of ship you've built or how long it's took you to build it. You can literally have the most basic submarine that barely doesn't even have any weapons and is literally just a tube with a couple of dudes inside, firing torpedoes at any other ship, but as long as you have enough of them, you will dominate your area of the sea that you try and occupy or patrol or strike force or anything like that. Now, I just don't get that as why that is a thing in the game. Like, you could spend all that time researching naval development and stuff like that, but it really doesn't matter. As long as you've got enough ships or enough submarines, like, you're going to dominate, and you can produce the most basic ships to do that. The third issue I want to mention is the slumbering Italian lion that lurks in Hearts of Iron 4. Now, in historical modes, you probably won't notice this as much, especially with the new DLCs coming out. But if you're playing as Italy, you won't notice it. But if you're playing as another nation, like France or UK or America or something like that, you will start to notice that in non-historical mode that Italy is a proper powerhouse now. It has all the industrial capabilities in the game that it didn't have during World War II, as it struggled with weaponry being outdated and not being able to produce enough of the tanks and trucks and stuff like that. And it did struggle in the Balkans as well, historically. It did get Albania, but then it struggled to invade Greece, and Germany had to come down and help them out. But that now, because of Paradox, non-historical mode, that doesn't exist. Italy is now such a war machine now that it doesn't even need Germany's help. It actually rivals Germany at how good it is. It's able to even spawn units through its national focus tree out of thin air. And the colonial nation it's able to produce as well after it conquers Ethiopia also has quite a few troops as well. So you're basically going up like in Italy time, 2.0 really, because this nation is ready to kick some butt. Like, it's one of them nations. So that's my gripe with that one, although I do kind of enjoy it at the moment. I think there's a few kinks that need to be ironed out. So yeah, it is fun, but not fun to play against, it's fun to play with, as it's a bit cheesy. The fourth historical inaccuracy that I have an issue with is the defensive capabilities of artillery. Now, artillery in Hearts of Iron 4 is very useful, especially when producing offensives. It gives you quite a few bonuses when it's actually integrated into the unit properly. It's not just support, so you get quite a bonus on the hard attack and the breakthrough ability of your units. However, defensively, it is laughable. The effectiveness of artillery in defensive positions is negligible. You won't even notice the stat really change that much. It might go up just a little bit, but yeah, I think this is quite an overlooked thing, as artillery can be used, if you look through history, you can previously see that it was used in defensive situations to combat offensives from well, we'll say Germany in the First World War, and Germany used it against the Allies in the First World War as well, the Entente, just to delay their offensives a few days or even try to disrupt them. So I think that's something that's overlooked in Hearts of Iron 4, and I do think it does need a little bit rectifying or a little bit tweaking in some way to make it a bit more effective, because realistically the defensive capabilities seem to rely on the mass amounts of manpower you can shove into a division. I have noticed that, especially infantry divisions, the more men, the more defensive they are, which really drains your manpower and really saps it, and you can really struggle to build other divisions to do like breakthrough manoeuvres and stuff like that. But obviously you can have quite the attacking capabilities, especially when you add like motorised divisions and tanks into the infantry designer. So yeah, there's been like pros and cons to it, but I really think artillery is overlooked in terms of its defensive capabilities. The fifth inaccuracy is the tank and plane designer. Navy is obviously included in this as well, because it's something that you can also design. However, I do think the issue I take with it is more to do with the development team than actually the game itself, because it's the fact that you couldn't actually design tanks or airplanes in any way that you wanted. You had to unlock a certain tank, and then that was it. Now, it is starting to be rolled out now, which is a good thing, but yeah, it should have been in the game from the beginning, and it shouldn't really be hidden behind a paywall for people to, well, you have to pay in order to design the tanks. Now, if it's supposed to be a historical game, I feel like this should have been added in a free update, and it's something that should really have just come with the game, to be honest, when it was first released, or later on with a free update, because at the time in World War II they were experimenting with all sorts of tanks, so you can't really just say that you research this tank and you get that tank and that's it, because they did have other tanks with different armaments, different turret designs, different suspensions. So yeah, there was that, and the planes had different things. I mean, we do have heavy fighters as well as fighters, so that was something they did try to implement in some way, but yeah, I'm glad they've brought it out now and not delayed it any longer, because the game has been out quite a while and it was lacking this feature for a while. So yeah, hats off to you, Paradox, for that. So I'm not exactly an expert on the matter, but this is something I'm quite passionate about with history, and I do want to say Paradox has been fantastic in producing this game. It's provided many hours of fun for myself, and I'm pretty sure it's provided many hours of fun for many other people around the world. I'm pretty sure there's people out there with thousands of hours on the game, so it has been very successful, and I'm not having any sort of jibes at Paradox at all, so I'm not just giving it a slating or anything like that. I think it's just my personal opinion on the matter. So yeah, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, just give it a like and subscribe if you want to see any more content. I'm not necessarily focusing on Hearts of Iron 4, it's just at the minute that is what I wanted to do the content around. So there will be other games on here and other topics I will discuss and do videos on, so yeah, just look out for them in the future. Right, peace out.